All of the things that can make or break an event is the quality, taste, and freshness of the food, beverages you served. Guests don't come to your wedding for the food, but they expect it at least to be delicious, not disappointed. And that matter depends on your choice of caterer. If you don't think this decision is important, consider this. Exceptional and varied food can save your event if it's a dud, but bad catering will frustrate your guests and completely ruin their memory of it. Responsiveness and interest in understanding your needs. Of all the event and catering professionals you'll talk to, they'll all tell you this. A caterer's responsiveness during your initial conversations is an indicator of how they'll work with you throughout the duration of their contract. Many caterers claim to have the best food prepared with the freshest ingredients at the most competitive price, but it's also important that they respond quickly to your calls and emails and are open to criticism and suggestions. While these factors may seem insignificant compared to taste and cost, they actually indicate that the caterer is genuinely concerned with meeting the needs of their customers and ensuring that they are satisfied with the product and service provided. A potential caterer needs to learn as much about you as possible during your initial discussions. Therefore, you should expect your caterer to ask questions about 20% of the time, and you should provide answers and define your needs about 80% of the time. If a caterer doesn't ask you questions about the event, they may just see you as the next client on a list. A caterer should be interested in the details of your event. They should ask questions about your theme, purpose, budget, and goals. Ability to handle your type of event. Not all caterers are perfect, nor are all event types the same, and many caterers themselves openly admit it. Caterers do a lot of events, but with different markets, some are more efficient than others. That's why it's important to ask enough questions to determine if a caterer has the right experience for you. Each caterer has areas in which they specialize, so even a caterer with an excellent reputation may not be the best option for you. For example, some are more boutique and specialize in smaller, intimate social events. Others specialize in serving large corporations and nonprofit organizations, and others focus on more luxurious events. So when you interview your caterers, by the way, you should interview at least 3 caterers with a reasonable budget. Be sure to specify the type of food and presentation you want. Otherwise, you may choose a caterer who simply doesn't fit the type or style of your event. Some caterers are excellent at organizing barbecues. Others know how to create exceptional dishes for a themed event, and others offer very elegant services that are perfect for a business gala. You need to choose the right caterer for your specific wedding, not just because they've been hired for an event you've attended. Flexibility in menu options. Every caterer has its own specialty foods, and many offer the flexibility to adapt their food to your specific needs by substituting certain items or adapting others. However, the best caterers can go beyond their standardized menu options and are willing to create incredible food to meet specific dietary needs and themes. If a caterer isn't willing to customize their menu or challenge their staff to work with your unique theme, it's a very bad sign. Your ideal caterer should be willing to accommodate or at least consider special requests. Ask the caterer if they're willing to incorporate a family recipe you provide, or if they're willing to work with items that have special meaning to the style or theme of your event. Also, ask if they can prepare vegetarian, vegan, kosher, or children's meals. All of these questions are important to ask at the outset to determine each caterer's ability and willingness to satisfy you. Tastings. How can you know what a caterer has to offer unless you try their foods? Some people are reluctant to ask for tastings, but it's normal to have a sample of what you plan to order before you sign the contract. Attend at least 3 tastings with different caterers and make sure you can taste what you want. Never settle for a caterer who will give you what they want. You need to know and appreciate the final taste of the food on your menu. Be prepared to pay for these tastings if necessary. In addition, you can request wine tastings if they are appropriate for your event. Again, be prepared to pay a fee. It's a small price to pay to make sure you are choosing the good one. And when you're tasting the food, look closely at the presentation, because if the caterer takes its time to present your sample, it will probably be more inclined to make that effort on the day of your event. You could have a nasty surprise if you choose a high-end event caterer to serve your wedding dinner in a barn. Why? Because these caterers may not be accustomed to preparing and serving food in such an environment. This can be even more specific depending on the restrictions of the venue itself, as in the case of museums and historic sites. You want to be sure to choose a caterer who has worked there before and knows all the rules of the site. Even in traditional venues, caterers have to respect certain restrictions, such as installation standards. A caterer who is familiar with a venue's rules can potentially save you a lot of hassle on the day of the event. The caterer's contract should clearly say what food, beverages, and services will be provided on the day. This contract should protect you in case of cancellation, as well as protect the caterer from non-payment. You may want to have an attorney review it before signing. Every little detail should be included in the contract, including menu selections, number of servings, number of people to be served, beverage service details, and any additional prices and services. It's important to know what additional costs are based on. For example, if the caterer brings paper or plastic plates when you were expecting solid plates. It is important because renting such equipment at the last minute can be very expensive. You should also know how many employees the caterer plans to come with. The minimum ratio is 1 per 12 guests, which includes not only the servers, but also the chef and his staff, the truck loading, unloading crew, the bartenders, and the banquet captain. Even seemingly minor details need to be included in the contract. Most caterers will take away leftover food unless otherwise agreed. You need to make sure that your contract has a cancellation clause in case your caterer is forced to cancel. Find out exactly how your caterer handles cancellations and make sure it is included in the contract. You'll need to know if your deposit is fully refundable and what steps you need to take. Will your caterer suggest other caterers or help you make phone calls to see who's available? You don't want to be left without an option a few days or hours before your event, so make sure there are cancellation procedures and penalties in place. References. Of course, you need to check out the caterers you're considering, and it's always a good idea to go online to check their reviews and ratings. But don't stop there, as some online reviews are not always reliable or even genuine. For example, a good caterer may have had a few abominable customers who skew their ratings, while a really mediocre caterer may have paid to have fake reviews posted online. See if you can find and contact some of the former clients of the caterers you are considering hiring. People are often more open to talking privately about disappointments they've had with the food or their overall experience with the caterer. It's wise to check references, make phone calls, and get your own opinion. Don't just rely on what the caterer tells you, what their references say on their website, or what people say on the internet. Take extra steps to make sure you understand their experience. Insurance coverage. Insurance is an absolute must. Any reputable catering company must have liability insurance, otherwise it's a very bad sign. An experienced chef and his kitchen staff. Time spent in the restaurant business doesn't necessarily mean excellent, tasty food. The chef's background and experience may be more important than the business owner. It's the chef, sous chef, and kitchen staff that make the reputation. How do you know you've chosen the right caterer? When the caterer is willing and able to surprise your guests with elegance and talent, he or she will provide delicious, tasty, and adventurous food with quality service that complements the theme of your event.